Welcome back to Music Kingdom, and back by popular demand, another blind review and analysis of a Tool song. I gotta be honest with you guys, I had absolutely no idea what a Tool army was, and when I reviewed Lateralus by Tool, you guys really showed up in the comments, and I took note, with a lot of the comments suggesting a couple of songs from that same album, and so you spoke, I listened. In this video, we are going to listen to, give a music theory breakdown for, and blindly review Parabol and Parabola by Tool. Hang tight. Hey music lovers, my name is Francis. If you'd like to support the work I put into these videos, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. Speaking of subscribers, I just wanted to say thank you. It took a few months to reach 1,000 and then just a couple weeks to go from 1 to 2,000, and now all of a sudden we're at 3,000, so I just wanted to say I'm super grateful and blown away. And of course, if you'd like to support the channel even further, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. Alright, now before we give the song a listen, first let's get a little bit nerdy and briefly talk Parabol and Parabola by Tool. Parabol and Parabola are from Tool's third studio album titled Lateralus, released in 2001. To my knowledge, a little fun fact is that Parabola was one of the singles released from this album, which I'm assuming I will understand why when we listen to it in just a bit. Now, after having reviewed Lateralus from this very same album, I'm starting to understand why so many of you suggested this song. In case you didn't catch that review, there were a few moments where I almost got emotional, and of course I made some remarks just regarding my own personal life and my own personal beliefs, and why that song happened to resonate with me so much. So it would make sense that you guys recommended I listen to Parabol and Parabola because, according to the internet, Parabola is a play on the title of the introduction section titled Parabol, which is a play on the word parable, or a story with an intended moral lesson. Parables form the foundation for all modern major religions. Parabola is a celebration of life, the holy experience of birth, and the unlikely opportunity that we all share to be temporarily conscious of each other and the world around us. This song focuses on the realization through our bodily experience that others share the same limitations and desires as we do, and we all will eventually fade back into nothingness as we were before our births. This realization of our own mortality urges us to treasure the life we have, use it to the best of our ability, and ignore base, unnecessary, unfulfillable desires that detract from the richness of our experience of life. Holy shit, is that up my alley? And a quick shout out to Tool Army member named Anthony L, who commented on the Lateralus review saying, as for the meaning of the lyrics regarding Parabola, it's somewhat open for interpretation. It seems to refer to our pineal gland, which holds DMT, melatonin, etc., and releases our natural painkillers. Being the focal point used in meditation, the pineal gland is believed to hold the third eye, which in turn is believed to be where the collective consciousness is accessible. A parabola itself has a focal point, so the song can also be talking about how we as humans are on a path shaped like a parabola. Our existence begins even before birth, then at a certain point we experience life, the curve that a parabola has near its focal point, then we return to a different point after death with the third eye perceiving the collective consciousness. Now obviously I'm not going to get preachy about my own beliefs, and I think it's a beautiful thing that all of us can believe or not believe in whatever the fuck we want. But for what it's worth, a lot of my favorite books, probably a majority of those that you see behind me, are basically about what the lyrics in this song are about, and what Anthony L described in the comments. Thanks, Anthony L. All that to say, I am very excited to listen to this song. Now, obviously, I just went over some basic information and facts regarding this song, but assuming 99% of you who are watching this are diehard Tool fans who know so much more than myself, I'm going to encourage you to drop any comments down below with even more information, facts, history, trivia regarding Tool, the album, or the song itself. Not just to educate myself, but just in case anybody else happens to stumble upon this video not knowing all too much about Tool. Alright, with all that out of the way, now a few disclaimers. First disclaimer, in my Lateralus review, I got a lot of comments saying, hey man, why are you critiquing the song? It is negating the entire point of listening to Tool. I get that, I hear that, but here's the thing. This channel is for reviewing music, and Tool, unfortunately, is no different. So at the end of the day, it's not that deep, it's not too serious. I'm just nerdy for music, and that's what we do on this channel. Second disclaimer, let's talk genre. On the Lateralus review, I got a lot of comments saying something along the lines of, Tool isn't even metal, bro. Tool is their own genre. And look, I get that. I also realize they could be considered prog rock. I also realize they could be considered alternative metal. And I also get the need knee-jerk response because, for example, Michael Jackson's My Guy, and whenever I bring that up in conversation, people are like, oh, you listen to pop music. No, if you listen to anything other than the hits, the umbrella term pop is way too limiting. So I get where you're coming from, and I agree that Tool is so unique that you can't really put them in any box. But for the sake of this video, forgive me, I'm just going to refer to them as metal. Alright, with that out of the way, at long last, it's time we give the song a listen, and just a heads up, I will be pausing periodically to give my thoughts and to avoid any copyright strikes. I did the same thing on the recent Black Sabbath review I did, and even still, that was blocked in basically half the planet, including the United States. And of course, as always, be sure to stick around after the song for a music theory breakdown from our expert, and then we're going to divide the song into specific categories, grading them each, and arriving at an overall score. For what it's worth, I usually have the laptop to the side, but I have a feeling I'm going to want to read along to this song. I can already appreciate the slow build. I like that it almost encourages you to be introspective as you listen to it. Embracing you, this reality. This one is for my hold now. Thoughts so far? Yes, we can absolutely appreciate the slow build, especially for dramatic effect, as I'm sure it's going to climax at some point. But even more so than that, I definitely appreciate how, because it's a slow burn and a slow build, it almost forces you or encourages you to really focus in a little bit extra on the lyrics, setting the stage for the overall purpose, mission, aesthetic, message of the song. If this dude wrote a book, I would absolutely read that book. I feel like he has so much to talk about. And in the headset, you can hear the production as well. Background noises. Wow. Yes! Worth the slow build-up. It really made you want it. But when it hits... Ooh. Okay, so... what can be said about that transition? I mean, I guess I could say it was flawless execution. Perfect build-up, you're invested in the lyrics, and you're almost kind of lulled to sleep with the slow pace that it started with, so that they can just come out and smack you. so well written. I am geeking out over this absolute brilliance and wisdom, and what I admire so much is that these are his beliefs, I'm assuming, but they're not in a preachy way. It's in almost like an autobiographical way. This is my experience, this is what's happening to me, happening for me. He's using words like holy, which is, I guess, Christian lingo, Christian vernacular, but so obviously not in any sort of religious or dogmatic way. And let's not forget that this is still a song too, right? Like, I'm getting so caught up in the beautiful writing that the music itself as well cannot be understated. The level of kick-assery and badassery that smacks your ears while you're being drilled in the best way possible with this insane knowledge. Thanks, Tool. Harmonies. Catch my breath. Wisdom. Alright, I need to shut up for a moment about the lyrics and just give total praise and acknowledgement to the music in this song. Kind of reminding the listener that yes, we are bestowing upon you this insane knowledge and we're still basically having sex with your eardrums. Is every song going to be Lateralus? No, but if you're going to make something more listenable, it doesn't have to go all the way to the other end where it's just radio-friendly garbage. And when I say that, yes, I'm talking about music in general, and that's something that I'm really coming to respect about Tool. I just love that the artistry and the creativity is so present regardless. So well put together. As amazing as the lyrics are, I would also just as happily listen to an instrumental version. That can't be understated. God. system, man. Now, thoughts at this point of the song. You know what? Fuck it. I just want to keep listening. That's nice. Bringing it back to the first part. Wow. What a journey that was. Alrighty, initial thoughts after that experience and before we go to the expert's corner and eventually grade the song. Look, I love Tool Army, you guys are awesome, but I'm not here to blow smoke up your asses, nor am I here to blow smoke up Tool's ass. And I would assume that you're not here to watch me, a music reviewer, just give it blind praise and say everything's perfect. And if you are, sorry. So what I will say is while I like the outro in terms of how they brought it back to the intro of the song, or the first of the two songs, I thought that was beautiful. I didn't necessarily enjoy the outro leading to that outro. I realize when it comes to the world of art and artistic expression, there's usually a reason for creative decisions like that. For example, a super loud song that might have a gentle, beautiful interlude is usually going to be symbolic of, say, sobriety and then what it's like when you finally get that high you've been craving, so on and so forth. So I'm not doubting that there is perhaps a deeper reason behind it. I'm just saying I wasn't a huge fan of it. Other than that, however, wow, stellar song, beautifully crafted. I love the build-up, I love the climax, I love the wise lyrics, the interlude, the guitar, the transitions, the vocals. Everything felt intentional, everything felt deliberate. Regarding the lyrics, I wonder, are most Tool fans like-minded, where they might agree with this philosophy or spirituality? Or are a lot of Tool fans like, you know what, that's not my thing, but I'm still gonna jam to it? You guys will have to let me know, because of course, while I enjoy the music and what they bring to the table as artists, I would certainly listen to Tool for a lot of the lyrical purposes. Another note worth mentioning is the listenability, and I did touch on this briefly earlier, so I'm not gonna be redundant, but I just want to acknowledge that while yes, Lateralus is less listenable, and I agree, the more times you hear a song, the more listenable it becomes, that this song Parabola is obviously more listenable, but without sacrificing any complexity or artistry or creativity. And I have many more thoughts to share, especially when I'm breaking apart the song, grading each category and arriving at an overall score. But before I can do that, first let's go to the expert's corner for a music theory breakdown and to hear what he has to say.
Welcome to the Expert's Corner. This is Parabol and Parabola by Tool. Now if that's pronounced Parabola, I apologize, I just went with my gut. This song is in the time signature of 4/4 and it's in the key of what I would say is E minor. Now strictly speaking, I don't think there are actually any E minor chords in there. This song is mainly power chords, but even in that E power chord, melodically in the vocals and in the electric guitars, I am hearing that G go in there. So yeah, E minor. Tonally, chord-wise, there isn't much going on in this song. You have, like I said, a lot of power chords. You have a lot of E power chords. You have a lot of A power chords, G power chords, some D power chords. That being said, this song does shine musically with its rhythm. What I found so cool about this song is that it remains in 4/4 from beginning to end, but there are several parts where it tricks your ears into thinking they're changing time signatures just because of how well they use syncopation. The best example of this is a part near the middle where both the vocal rhythm and the drums do not line up with the click, however they're still staying in the confines of a 4/4 groove. Da 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 da. Yeah, he's singing triplets there, and that alone is not that tricky, but when you factor in the drum pattern there, That was really cool to hear, and counting it out and realizing they were staying in 4/4 is super cool. This is the second Tool song we've done, and I'm starting to realize that I love their drummer. When he gets on those toms, it's something I could just listen to over and over. I paid special attention to the lyrics of this song because I heard that that's one of the stars of the show here. And yeah, I thought they were great, very spiritually enlightened, very well written. It's a very tight song, well put together, a great jam. I'm just gonna take off points because musically there's not much happening, and with that I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Back to you, Francis.
A very special thank you to our expert for providing a music theory breakdown and giving the song a very solid 7.5 out of 10. And now it's time to divide the song into 5 more categories, grading them each and arriving at an overall score. Starting out with composition specifically, I'm inclined to give it a strong 8.5 out of 10. Since our musical expert just broke down the composition, I won't get too in-depth in this category specifically, but in my opinion, an 8.5 is very deserving. It's essentially as close as you can get to the realm of 9s, 9.5s, and 10s, which essentially is pretty much as close as you can get to songs like Lateralus or maybe something like Bohemian Rhapsody. As mentioned, despite it being less listenable, it's still immensely creative, it's still very artistic. I think if we're speaking melodically, Parabol, for example, the intro to the rest of the song, is a great example of just how beautiful the melody can be compositionally speaking, combined with how well crafted the rest of the song is as well compositionally, but in a structural way, talking about transitions and interludes, bridges, breakdowns, solos. A true work of art in my opinion, just not on the tier of mind-blowing brilliance, which is okay because an 8.5 is still truly great. Up next we have production, which I'm inclined to give a very solid 8 out of 10. As mentioned in previous videos, regarding genres like alternative metal, metal, hard rock, prog rock, etc., production is a bit more difficult to assess and grade, so I would say this score out of the 5 for me is the one I'm least sure about, because unlike other genres where you might be able to gauge the usage of horns or strings or sound effects via technology, in songs like this and genres like this, production is pretty minimalistic, and it really does boil down to mostly how the song is mixed. Especially in Parabol before Parabola, you can really feel when it's slowed down little production elements, whether it be certain reverb or different sound effects that go from ear to ear. Production that's very subtle, but it's in the background if you can really tune into it, because you can follow along with the wisdom of the lyrics, for example, while still not necessarily feeling like the drumming or the guitars are kind of getting watered down either at the expense of it. So on and so forth. As mentioned, it is hard to gauge, but in my opinion, an 8 out of 10 is great, tasteful, minimalist, well done. Moving on to our next category, which would be lyrics, and I'm inclined to give the lyrics a very rare 9 out of 10. And look, I'll be honest, in the spirit of transparency and not wanting to kiss too much ass, I was going to give the lyrics probably an 8, and the reason why, honestly, they don't really rhyme. They don't really flow. And I realize and acknowledge that you totally don't have to play by those rules if you don't want to. Having said that though, some of the greatest lyrics in the history of the music industry beautifully flow, beautifully rhyme, while simultaneously effectively telling a story along the way, which in my opinion, nailing all 3 of those things is what generally will warrant a 9, a 9.5, or a 10, at least when it's masterfully done. But even still, the reason I can't give the lyrics to this song an 8, and the reason I'm giving them a 9 instead, is simply the proof is in the pudding, right? They are magnificently crafted lyrics. They are beautiful, insightful, wise, intelligent, original. And while no, they don't really rhyme, and while no, they don't necessarily flow, they still work. How is it they managed to pull this off? Being geniuses. If you're going to have a style of lyrics that is perhaps a bit unorthodox, this is how you do it. And I've got to say, even though the lyrics of this song didn't necessarily move me to the point of tears the way the lyrics in Lateralus did, I was still absolutely blown away. Goosebumps head to toe. Up next, we have the category of vocals, and for this category, we are coming a bit more back down to earth. I'm inclined to give them a 7.5 out of 10. Now I realize after giving out an 8, giving out an 8.5, giving out a 9, a 7.5 all of a sudden seems low. Feel free to disagree in the comments, but for me a 7.5 is still very good, pretty much as good as you can get without truly being great. And honestly, that's just how I feel about them. I am trying to be as subjectively objective or objectively subjective as possible. Now am I saying his overall ability as a vocalist in general is a 7.5? No, I'm talking specifically about the delivery in this song. Don't get me wrong, I acknowledge some moments in the song where he really shows what he has, and to contrast the power he has, there's also some beautiful vocal moments as well. But all in all, I'll be real, the vocals were not the star of this show, and they weren't supposed to be, they're not meant to be. And that's okay, not every song is going to have one of the best vocal performances in all of music. Very good, just not quite great, and I feel like that's fairly reflected with a 7.5. Alright, arriving at our final category of originality, I feel this song's originality deserves yet another very rare 9 out of 10. In case you're new to the channel, when I talk about originality, my logic is that of how creative is a song, how fresh is it, how innovative is it, how inspired is it, how authentic is it, how expressive is it, so on and so forth. You're coming up with something out of nothing. How original is it going to be? And the answer is Parabol and Parabola, in my opinion, are just about as original as it gets. Obviously, the originality of the subject matter of the lyrics is above and beyond the biggest reason why. And then on top of that, you have this 9-minute piece of art, wonderfully composed, tastefully produced, top to bottom in just about every way. There's nothing else that sounds like this. And by definition, that is originality at its best. Now, obviously, I acknowledge this song is 22 years old, but on a serious note, other artists, other bands, regardless of genre, should listen to Tool and take notes. So now if we add it all up, throw in the expert score and average it out, Parabol and Parabola by Tool from their third studio album titled Lateralus, released in 2001, gets a very strong 8.3 out of 10, which in my opinion indicates that the song is truly great, just not quite mind-blowingly great. And that's okay, because they can't all be that way. As usual, in the comments down below, let me know if I'm right on the money, am I batshit crazy, am I somewhere in between, as well as your thoughts on the song and other recommendations for songs this channel should review next. As mentioned, if you'd like to support myself and the work I put into these videos, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you'd like to support the channel even further, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. This has been another edition of Music Kingdom. Thank you so much for listening with me, and I look forward to jamming with you in the next one.